welcome to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I am Beth Cooper.
I'm Stacey Earlywine, and wow, did we have a weekend.
We had a weekend, folks.
Yeah,
it was good, though.
We made it through the Nostalgia Theater show.
We did.
Yes.
It was good. It was a Western called Cactus Pass. If you missed it, it is going to air on Wabash TV at some point. I'm not sure. It might be another week or two.
Yeah.
I don't know the schedule yet, but it will air if you weren't able to attend.
It's worth watching because it was funny.
It was really a funny show, and it was a great fundraiser for nostalgia. We're still working on, fixing up our building, and all the proceeds from our show go to that. So thank you to everyone that came out and supported us, and thank you to the actors that put in hours and hours worth of work and practice to make it happen. We appreciate all of them, and
our sponsors are great.
Yes, so many sponsors that put an ad in our program book that was read by hundreds of people over the weekend because we had quite the crowd, despite the weather.
The weather was freaking me out.
Despite the flooding and all of the really crazy weather that we've had. It poured down rain on Friday night as people were leaving. It was still raining on Saturday night, but it didn't stop anyone. We had a pretty well packed house both nights.
Pleasantly surprised by that. And here's the thing about it is I don't know if you noticed this, but there were a lot of new faces in our crowd.
There was,
and our crowd's getting younger.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's been our goal. Not that we don't want the older crowd to come.
We love the older crowd.
It seemed that we weren't reaching any families, and it's a really fun thing to take your kids to, or if you're just young people, it's a fun night out in Flora. And I think that a lot of people had it in their head that it was boring or it was just for old people, and that's just simply not true.
It's not. That's not. We've changed it up a lot the last few years, and I buy these. I buy the plays anymore from Pioneer Drama, and they're funny.
Yeah. Then
we add our own music and our own twist to it. You can always change things up a little bit, but no, they're absolute. They're funny, and we have good singers and.
Yeah, we had great singers this year. We always do, but
I was really pleased.
It was country music this time, which made me happy because I love country music, and there were some oldies in there that were fantastic. And
we were Matt Lovett and I were standing out in the hallway after we were done. People come through and they go, "Oh, good job," or whatever. And this one lady come up and he did "Hello, Darling," right? And so anyway, she comes up and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that was my favorite. That was so good. That was the best." And I looked at her and went, "Oh really? That was your favorite song?" And she went, "Yeah, it was." "Oh no, yours were good too." And I was just laughing, pulling her leg.
Yeah, no, there was a few people in the crowd that so Matt gets on stage and the first note of "Hello, Darling" hits, and then Conway Twitty's voice comes in and is like, "Hello, darling." And when Matt did that, and then there's a pause, just a quick beat before the song starts, and all of these ladies in the back were like, just that first note, they were so excited.
"Hello, darling."
They were like, "Yes, sing this to me." Yeah, it was so good.
They did love it. Yeah, I liked it.
It was
because
good.
last year they loved it too. We did Route 66, and that was all 50s and 60s, which is my favorite. I'm not a big. I don't do a lot of country music, but I did enjoy a little bit of. I like old country music. It brings me back. My mom loved all that stuff. What was Engelbert Humperdinck? Was he a country singer?
He was more like folk music.
My mother loved Engelbert Humperdinck. Now I'm a Patsy Cline gal.
Yeah,
I'll sing Patsy Cline all day long. But I like a little. I've been listening to more Loretta Lynn and that type of thing. But yeah, I like the group songs. I'm gonna add more of that next year. I didn't know how that would pull off, but it pulled off real well as long as I had that lead singer at the front. Yep. I'm gonna change it all up. We're gonna do more next year.
Anyway, we won't give away the plot or anything because it is gonna air on Wabash, and you guys all have the chance to check it out. So yeah.
Yeah, what's going on today? Let's see, a little chilly.
Yes, I meant to, my mom, the last thing she said last night before she left my house, she came over to visit. Last thing she said as she walked out the door was, "Don't forget to cover those azaleas. It's going to get down into the 20s. My azaleas are just like this close to being gorgeous, and they are hot pink, and they are just fantastic when they bloom. Well, I got busy doing other stuff and cleaning up the kitchen, and guess who forgot? I don't know. I didn't even look at them today as I left, but I thought of it on my way here this morning. I thought, my azaleas are probably not going to bloom at all this year.
I have one tulip. Whenever my dog Sassy passed away in 2022, and whenever Sassy passed away, Jim went and got me tulips and stuff like that. I planted 2. One never did do anything, but this one came up this year. Beautiful little pink flower. So Jim went and took and put a 5-gallon bucket over it last night.
Oh, well, that's good.
So it wouldn't die, but yeah. I love tulips, and I love seeing all the Easter lilies coming up, but I like, once something blooms, I don't want to just get a pretty taste of it, then it die and go away. Mm-hmm. I'm not a real big spring flower like that. But I do enjoy this tulip. She came up, and be nice if they just lasted all year long with everything else.
Right. They don't.
They don't.
Same thing with the azaleas. Like, my azaleas are gorgeous.
I can't grow an azalea.
Well, there's a certain, it's like they're weird about what side of the house they're on. Their conditions have to be just right. They like acid. Like, if you put a lot of pine needles around it, they like that. But
you didn't come get any pine needles yet off my trees.
No, I need to do that. But
I need to do that.
Anyway, so the problem with azaleas is the bloom only lasts like a week, and sometimes maybe 2 weeks if you have like the perfect conditions.
Yeah.
But really, it's more like a week.
Yeah.
And then some big storm comes and blows them all off, and
yeah. I had an azalea bush one time, and it was a hot pink.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Man, the first time I planted it that year, it was beautiful. I'm like, yeah, this is nice. This is nice. Nobody told me that didn't last.
Yeah.
And then it blew away. Then it was just green for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And then the next year, that sucker never did bloom again. Never bloomed again.
No pine needles.
No, and I don't know, but I don't remember having pine needles the first time.
Well,
I don't know, but it might have been the soil they had me.
Yeah.
Somebody down in my end of town, I got to go by and take a picture of it because I'm going to actually get it. I don't know what it is, but boy, it's pretty. It's the house that's cattywampus from, it's on South Mill and Floor Avenue. Cattywampus from Building C right there. He's got a beautiful little baby kind of tree. 'Cause I got a couple. My rose bushes are huge. And then I think I like a little tree that gets red with pink. And I love it. It looks good. But this is something totally different. I got to go get it. I got to find out where he got it because it looks beautiful right now.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting.
Of course, it's probably just a spring bloomer.
Yeah. Well, I took a class once on different trees and like how to design your yard. Mm-hmm. And the trick is you're supposed to have like so many things that bloom in the spring, so many that bloom in the summer, and so many that bloom in the fall, and then just like, plant them all around. So no matter the season, except for winter, you have some color.
Yeah.
Well,
you know how I am.
It doesn't always work out like that at my house.
I do flowers like I do my paint colors. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, that's pretty. I like that. Sunlight, okay. Dig a hole.
Don't overthink it.
Oh yeah. I don't overthink. I don't think that my brain thinks anymore.
Yeah, it just isn't. It just isn't drive. It goes.
It's just in drive. It's just headed down the road. But yeah, no. I like my impatience always do because I have that one. Like my house is kind of weird, so like there's one, but in front of the center room it gets no sun. Man, my impatient, and they'll go from the time I plant them, and they'll get ginormous. I'll have to pull them out in the end of October. All my daylilies, I can grow a daylily all over my entire. Don't matter what side.
Daylilies are easy peasy. Like they just are happy to be out there. They don't really care where
and they're already big and green. And the ones I planted last year are like 3 times the size they already were. So I'm gonna put because I got one area that I just can't.
I think you can split those.
I'm weird about that.
Okay,
but you know what, Jim did that.
And I'm not positive about that.
Jim did that with hostas.
Yeah, and those you for sure can.
And I've seen because this year my house is doing pretty good, which I need to get Silas to come over and help me spread mulch.
Okay,
I need to pay Silas to come do that because he helped me last year because it's just too heavy and I like that black mulch and he helped me last year. But anyway, this year I'm going to go over to my Airbnb and dig up because Jim put a handicap ramp on it and dig up, and he split a couple of hostas. They're already this big. I don't know what he did. He didn't know either. Oh, he doesn't have a clue, but yeah, they're huge. But yeah, I got to do that. I got to do that this year. I'm going to focus more over on the front part of that Airbnb. But I definitely need, because my stuff is all coming up beautiful that I planted. A couple things I'm like, I didn't like that, so I pulled it up. But yeah, pretty much that's it. Just this year I'm just all about adding the annual colors.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to need Silas over there to help me a little bit. But yeah,
he
so
would be happy to.
And I don't think, and that's going to just be hostas and some probably some impatience for some because it gets the front part of Dale's house. I still call that Dale's house. It's Dale Nicholson's house that I bought. That's my Airbnb, and I just don't. It's not going to get. It's always shady.
Yeah,
doesn't get an ounce of son.
You probably could get some big ferns to hang over there too.
Yeah, I did that last year. I went out and got some ferns and put on the porch, which was nice. And we're doing that. We're getting new windows in the Airbnb, which I'm very excited. Those windows are horrible. Like it's down to like
They're the old aluminum ones. Yeah.
awful. Yeah, so Aaron Holman's going to do it for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we got the windows ordered, and that's going to happen. I got it.
Does he do odd jobs?
He is doing them.
Okay. Good
If
to
you
know.
Aaron Holman, yep, that's it. That's who. Yeah, he's doing that type of thing.
Okay.
So that's good. Yep, that's who I'm headed with.
Okay.
Yep, so
All
he's
right.
going to do those windows for me.
Do we have
Okay.
an ad to kick
We
this
do
show
have an
off?
ad. Let me see. I don't know which one he's going to pull up first. Okay. I found this ad.
Zipper repair kit.
Right, because I had to go to, I know, this is terrible. I had to make a mad dash to Cato's to get pants because I've lost buttons and I've lost zippers. But I've never seen a zipper repair kit. It's only 29 cents. Repairs defective zippers. Replaces present slider and ensures against future zipper trouble. Freedom. Adjust zipper slider. I don't even know what the heck that means. Make it big. For skirts, dresses, trousers, children's clothing, bathing suits. Bathing suits, slacks, etc. No additional tools necessary. As easy as sewing on a button. Unconditionally guarantee the 5 freedoms. Freedom from catching. Freedom from snagging. Freedom from jamming. Freedom from slipping. Freedom from failing. I didn't know there were so many different things that could happen to your zipper.
I didn't either, and I know a little bit about sewing in new zippers, and I'm trying to determine exactly what this repair kit is.
It's got the magic dial.
Other than just, I guess if...
What would you do? Is it like...
I guess this is just if your zipper, the long piece comes off, you can add a new one. I don't know. Other than, some of these problems would be the zipper itself, which you would have to sew in. I'm so confused. I don't understand this product.
The zipper repair kit.
Yes.
But if you look at the kit, it's just the little thingy on the
Yeah.
bottom left.
Yeah, I think they're just saying you can just put a new one of those on if yours comes off or something.
Well, it's got the magic dial. I mean, come on. This is an ad from the 40s, and I love it. Somebody took a picture of it because look, you see the hole in it?
Yeah.
Where they've ripped the ad. I'd love to know where this came from, but yeah. Miracle Adjustable Zipper Slider.
Huh. That's interesting. I
And
might have to Google that later.
It repairs defective zippers. So how does that dial do that?
Well, it's magic.
It is. It's got the magic dial.
Interesting.
And what I love, what you can't see on there, you see on the far left under zipper repair, under the little dial that's actually, it looks like it's stayed there. Literally across the bottom of that says freedom.
Oh, funny.
Freedom. Because that's the name of it. Freedom. I just don't know why it's called Freedom Adjustable Zippers.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that later.
Yeah, look at that one because I'm like, okay, I've never seen that one before. But I love the 5. The 5 freedoms are fantastic.
Yeah, I like the 5 freedoms for sure. Good marketing team there.
Of course, back in the 40s, you would have repaired your jeans.
Absolutely.
Today, like I did, you're like, oh, lost a button. History. Throw them away. I'm terrible. I'm not going to mess. Now, Jim.
But on jeans, was it a button or was it one of those like, what do they call it? It's not like the type of button that has holes in it where you can sew it back on.
No, it's that weird.
Yeah, you have to have a
thing.
tool to get that back on. I mean, that's not a real simple
And then I
repair.
had a zipper that broke because like the zipper went on the other,
Yeah,
Oh, nothing makes me crazier than a zipper.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
need
like-
the magic.
And you know what they're
zipper
doing now
repair.
to pants, which I don't like? We don't need 2 buttons.
Yeah,
Why do we need 2 buttons?
I don't know. I think they must think it's like style.
Well, nobody's seeing the top button of my pants anyway.
No one's seeing the top button of my pants either.
So here you go, Kato.
Nothing is tucked in.
No.
So. I am who I am.
who I am. And that's
right.
all that I am.
That's it.
Okay,
yes.
let's take a...
We'll take a commercial break, and we will be right back.
At your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville, you can count on experts to have the solutions to keep you running on the road or in the field. More than just your car, the Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville carry a large inventory of Napa products for farms, heavy trucks, and just about everything that moves. Experienced associates understand your needs and are ready to help with the perfect part at a great value. That's Napa Know-How at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville. Briscoe Surplus Sales on the northeast edge of Flora is your one-stop do-it-all shop. Looking for rugged boots and footwear from great brands like Lacrosse, Rocky, and Carolina? They're there. How about top-notch small engine parts and service? Briscoe Surplus Sales has it. Whether you're wiring your switches or switching your wiring, Briscoe Surplus Sales has the solution and the know-how to help you get the job done right the first time. Briscoe Surplus Sales, your one-stop do-it-all shop.
We like technology at Flora Savings Bank. Here's what you can accomplish in our mobile banking app in less than 30 seconds. See account balances in your transactions, set up an account alert, make a transfer between accounts, get an alert text message about your transfer, pay a bill, turn your debit card off and then back on. It all happens in the palm of your hand with our free My Bank to Go app. Search My Bank to Go in the App Store or Google Play and give mobile banking a try. Flora Savings Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Today I'm going to finish a story that I started last week. And the story was about this man named William Wilson. And if you missed last week's episode, it'll probably be on reruns on Wabash television. But you can also go back to our YouTube channel and watch it there. Just type in Beth and Stacey on YouTube, click on our picture. That'll be our page, and you can find the video there. But yeah, William Wilson, this story that I started last week, it started in 1851, and this guy kept a diary, a really, really cool diary of when he got on a boat in Liverpool, England in 1851 and sailed with his family, his little children, across the ocean, and had all of these crazy experiences. Yeah. That's all in last week's show. I'm not going to recap the whole thing. To get over, it's a long story.
Wow.
And to get over to the United States. And then they stayed a few nights in an old empty warehouse in the pouring down rain because their house wasn't ready. They were going to Connecticut to work in a rock quarry. He worked there for several years, and then he took off for Illinois. In the meantime, he left his family in Connecticut until he found a place to stay. Now, he eventually worked his way to Clay County, Illinois, and on his way, there was a man in our area already in Clay County that he knew of from a previous job that also worked in masonry. So William Wilson was a mason in the sense that he worked with stone and brick. And he was meeting up with someone here in Clay County to get a better job. And this is where he wanted to settle. So when I left off last week, he had made it to Illinois, and he was somewhere between Decatur and Sullivan and headed to Clay County. Okay. So if you're just jumping in on this story and you're completely lost because you didn't watch last week's, if you're curious, go back and watch last week's and get the beginning of the story because it's really good. Good story. Okay. So when I left off, he had crossed the Okaw River. And this is going to be in his words because this is from his diary. I crossed the Okaw River just before I got to Shelbyville, passed through it on my way to Ewington. I made Ewington on the second day after leaving Shelbyville. I stayed all night with old Sam Fleming and made my way to Dismal, where I am now. I tell you, I thought it hadn't the name for nothing. I landed here at Dismal on the night of 21st of January, 1853, and I found the man I was hunting for. I hadn't saw him for years until that time. We stood and looked at each other. Finally, when we got into conversation, we knew each other well, and he was very glad to see me there, for all he had was a few native boys clearing away the brush where the Chicago branch of the railroad now is. He had the contract for all of the stonework and was getting ready to commence work. My first job was to hunt up stone that was cropping out in the hollows in the vicinity of the work. I took some of the native boys and commenced quarrying out rock as soon as we found any suitable for the job. Okay, so he gets to Dismal, which we talked about last week, which is, do you remember, Abby, where we said Dismal was? It's out by Iola-ish. Edgewood, Iola area is where he's at, okay? And he meets this guy that he knew from England. The only other people that were working for this man were he calls them native boys. I'm assuming they're Native American boys.
I would assume.
Okay, 1853. So the other guy was super glad to see him, another Englishman. He had this big contract for the railroad, and he was the one to do all of the stonework for the railroad. So he sends William Wilson out to start hunting up stone. William says, there was not much done till the spring commenced. Then the mechanics begin to come on from the east. I don't know what a mechanic is. Stone cutters and masons and other workmen of all description, and by spring was well advanced. Everything was in full blast. The next trouble was to get enough wholesome food to eat and someone to cook it. The farmers, what there was, had not provided anything outside their own subsistence, and I began to feel pretty homesick, as I had left my family in Middleton, Connecticut, and I began to wish myself back with them. So for a week or two, we'll leave homesick Mr. Wilson at Dismal. Then, this is the end of the article. This is in Pauline Colburn's words. She said she's signing off for the week because this was the end of a part. But she left Mr. Wilson in Dismal. Okay. So he's homesick. He's in Dismal. They don't have very much food. They did a lot of foraging. And then his diary picks up again, and he says, I thought I would send for my wife and 3 children, for they could stand it as well as the rest, for they all had families that were coming too. So I wrote my wife to get ready and start as soon as she could. And I got a letter from her saying she was on her way and had been started 2 weeks before I got the letter. So that left me in a little trouble again. First of all, here's my question, logistically speaking. He writes a letter to his wife who he thinks is in Connecticut. Mm-hmm. She's not. She's already been gone for 2 weeks and is on her way to see him. How did the letter carrier get the letter to her and know where she was? And she received the letter. She's already 2 weeks into a journey out of Connecticut on her way to see him. But yet they delivered the letter correctly. She got it. Do you think that would happen today?
No.
Yeah, I don't either.
No, because I just got an email from Wabash. They didn't get my check that I mailed 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm over. I haven't paid my bill yet. I mailed the thing 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I had that same thing happen with Clay County Hospital.
I don't know what's happening.
I mailed
with the
them
mail.
like a $300 check, and then I got a thing that said I still had an outstanding payment, and I'm like,
yeah.
But I paid that. I still don't know what happened to that check. I paid it
got
again.
An outstanding bill from Wabash right now.
They're going to start docking your checks.
Probably.
Okay, let me finish this story. On I go to Ewington. There was a line of telegraph on the old National Road, and I wanted to send a message to the Prairie House, Terre Haute, Indiana. That was where my family was directed to come to Mr. Ike Humus was the forwarding agent there at the time. But when I went to the operator's office to send my message to know that there was a family of that description there, he told me the wires were down and he hadn't sent a message for several days. So I took the stagecoach, which was first put on at that season, owing to bad roads, and I inquired of every public conveyance I met whether there was a family on it by that name. I rode all through to Terre Haute, or as near as I could get, as the river was out in the bottoms, and the stage had to stop on this side. Mail and passengers went over in a skiff. I was one of them, and as soon as I got across, I made my way to the Prairie House and found my family all right and had been waiting there a week for the roads to get better. I took charge of them myself, left my baggage there to be sent after me. So he found his family in Terre Haute. I crossed the river and prepared to start on the stage. The same evening which we did so, there was 2 other women besides my own, them and the children, took the inside and the men took the outside. When we had gone about 2 miles on our way, we ran into a chock hole and broke the leader's drawbar, and he had to go right back from where we started to get another. While he was gone, we had her pried up out of the hole with some old fence rails, which happened to be close by. And when he came back, we started on again, and soon we would come to a mud hole. The driver would say, "Gentlemen, I would like you to get out and walk, for I have a terrible piece of road to go through." So we had to get out several times and walk from 5 to 15 rods at a time before we reached Ewington. We made the trip in about 24 hours, so I think we done very well considering. Okay, I don't know what rods are. 5 to 15 rods.
I don't know either.
The measuring distance by rods. I'm not sure what that would equal today. But yeah, so the men had to get out and walk. Gentlemen, please get out. I have a terrible piece of road to go through. I stayed at Ewington the balance of the night after we landed and hired a team and started for Dismal the next morning. First of all, let's just talk about his wife's state of mind, okay? The wife and these 3 children have already been taken out of England on this horrible boat ride that went over, what was it, a month from England in these horrible conditions. And then she's left behind in Connecticut with these kids, not knowing where her husband is and hearing from him very sporadically. Then finally she decides to go to Terre Haute to the meeting place they had previously discussed. She waits there a week, still not knowing where he is or if he's coming or if he's dead or alive. And then the water's out and the roads are bad, and he finally comes and gets her, and he's taking her to a place named Dismal. Would you feel excited? Dismal.
No, not excited.
She must, I mean, these people, you know what they had?
Grit
and gumption. Okay.
You know, I'm going to get me a brother-sister Doberman's puppies and name them Grit and Gumption.
Are you really? I'm scared of Dobermans. I don't trust them.
Okay, maybe I'll get a couple Chihuahuas.
Okay, I really don't trust them. I think they bite more than Dobermans.
Except for little Tilly at the play this week.
Yeah, oh my
Tilly
gosh, we had the cutest little dog named Tilly in our play. That was the first for us to have a dog, and it worked out great. That dog never made a peep.
That never made a peep.
Okay. I stayed at Ewington the balance of the night after we landed and hired a team. Started for Dismal the next morning. All went pretty well, but when the summer set, it was about as dry as it was wet in the spring. And we soon got short of water as there was no well in the country, or very few. So we dug holes beside of the creek and put barrels in them so that the water could filter through the sand out of the holes in the creek into them. That was the best water we could get. Yikes. Make sure I'm starting off with it. It's such a long story. I'm like, which part?
Where do you even go next?
These are two-sided, so I don't want to read the wrong side first.
What? Let's take a break.
Oh, okay.
Let's take a commercial break, and then we'll come back with that.
Okay, we'll be right back.
If you're looking for a loan for your brand new home, call Clay County State Bank. If you want to transfer money so your future will look sunny, call Clay County State Bank.
We got checking and savings and bill pay too.
An online banking, just ask our crew. For all your banking needs, we think you will agree.
Clay County State Bank is the place you need to be.
Clay County State Bank.
Tomorrow. Some fear the uncertainty it brings. Some trust the promise it holds. At Grinnell Mutual, we are always looking forward to tomorrow, growing and innovating. So even if the plans you have for the future aren't the same as the plans that the future holds for you, you can be ready. Because we'll be ready, like we have been for over 100 years. Trust in that. Trust in tomorrow. Talk to your mutual agent today.
Your local agent is on the square. Louisville, Clay County, Farmers Mutual Insurance.
At Clay City Banking Company, we're all on the same team, regardless of zip code. At home, work, school, or across the country, you can be part of our team with our cutting-edge mobile banking products. From your hand, you can check balances, transfer money, make deposits, and pay bills. Looking for a loan? We've got you covered with our mortgage, agriculture, commercial, and consumer loans. Join our team today. Clay City, Flora, Louisville, and Fairfield Banking Companies. We're the hometown banks, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Today we're talking about William Wilson and his journey to Clay County from England, and we're reading parts of his diary. Okay, so he just picked his wife and family up from Terre Haute. Now they're back on their way to Dismal. And they get to Dismal and they're doing great until summer hits, and then suddenly there's no water because there are no wells in the area and they're having to filter creek water. I got along pretty well anyhow until about the middle of July, and then the Billis fever got a hold of me. I was down about 3 weeks, and about the time I got out of the fever, it got a hold of my family and all the hands on the work. There was about 30 hands in one shanty, and there wasn't a well enough man to make a little coffee for the sick. It looked pretty blue about that time. I can't even imagine.
I can't even imagine.
30 people in one of these little cabins, and all of them are too sick to even get up and get coffee. Okay, I was about the best of them, for I had been through my surge early in the season, and as soon as the cold weather set in, we all were able to work again. The farmers, what there was of them, had provided little more than they wanted themselves. I bought 2 small hogs, weight of about 150 each, well fed and cleaned, nice for 2 cents a pound, hauled up to the door. We laid in potatoes and fruit for the winter, and we got along first rate. In the spring of 1854, everything was in full blast, grading, tie making, and masonry. Along in the summer, one Sunday, I took a ride across the prairie. Hadn't thought of the greenheads. Okay. The roads, there was none, so I took a straight shoot across the prairie to a man's by the name of Thomas Cox. The first bunch of old grass I struck, them greenheads raised like bees would when you knock over a bee gum, and they pitched onto the horse, and he laid down and rolled under me before I knew what was the matter. So I mounted again and struck for the brush, postponed my trip for that time. What is a greenhead?
I don't know.
Ty, will you Google what is a
greenhead.
greenhead in the prairie? 1854. They didn't cover that on Little House on the Prairie.
I thought you would know that.
I stayed at Dismal all that summer, but in the fall, I moved near the mouth of Sulphur Creek and opened out a quarry for the Wabash Bridge for the railroad, right where Mr. Tom Sawyer. Tom is not in there. I automatically added the word Tom to Sawyer. That's funny. Mr. Sawyer Kepley has what is called the Wildcat Holler, and there I remained until 1855.
Okay.
Oh, greenheads are horseflies. They do have green heads.
Weird.
Okay, so
well, we learned something new. That's a good trivia question.
Yes, it is. Okay, so greenheads. His horse was attacked by the ever-present horseflies, and he did say it was July, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Fair must have been in town. That's all I got to say.
Guess
you know when they're there because they'll eat you alive.
Oh man,
yucky.
Okay. So he has opened up his own quarry now at this point, and he is the one getting all the stone for the Wabash Bridge, for the Wabash River Railroad, I guess. He stayed there until 1855. In the fall, me and my family was all sick with fever and living in a round pole shanty. I was just able to creep around. I had to pile them all up on one bed and cover them up to keep the rain from them, and several of the neighbors dying with the cholera. I offered $5 for a woman to come and wash up some clothing for me and my family, but couldn't get one for the sickness was so bad. The doctor that was attending my family was in to see them one day and was dead the next, and everybody was getting badly scared. Early in the spring of 1855, I bought an old hunter out by the name of Lee, which had a railroad claim in Section 6, Larkinsburg Township, Clay County. There were 80 acres and a small log cabin on it, and in the fall, as soon as my family was able, I moved on to it. Everything went along pretty well, except money began to give out and flour give out, so I had neither. Flour was $15 a barrel, but I had a little corn, 5 hogs, 2 cows, 2 horses, and that included my stock. One of my cows that would soon come in, I was feeding her with large ear corn with husk on. I didn't know so well about corn feeding as I have learned since, so it stuck in her throat and shut off her wind and left me with only 1 cow. The next thing I made preparation for was spring work. I hired a man to do the farming and left my wife to do the bossing while I went on to the railroad. Went into Martin, Indiana with my old boss, Vipin, to put up a bridge at the mouth of the Bogus Creek where it empties into the White River. When we completed that, we came back to Peoria, Illinois, and I took 2 men and went into the woods on the opposite side from the city to find a derrick mast. We cut down a tall cottonwood tree, squared it up to shape 70 feet long, took it over the river, and set it up to build the circular pier the swing bridge works on, and for the first railroad that crossed the Illinois River below LaSalle. I stayed there till the work all got on good headway, and then I left and came back home, for Peoria was no place for me. I got $70 a month, and it was about as much as I could do to pay my board out of that. The balance went, I don't know how, so I settled up with my hired man and started to run the farm myself, for he hadn't done much as he didn't understand being bossed by a woman. So he left his wife. She was supposed to be bossing the hired man. He went off to make a lot of money on the railroad. This does kind of shadow a little bit like what Paul Ingalls did. He had to leave a few times to go work on the railroad to make some money to pay for the farm.
Money.
Okay, so now he's back on the farm. And he says, first thing I done was to prepare about 6 acres for wheat. I had quite a job to get the seed, as wheat was hardly known that day. Again, it's like Little House on the Prairie. I got it all the same. Sowed it about the first week of September, and it was the biggest crop for the small piece of ground I ever raised. I commenced harvest as soon as I could find a spot that would do. I chopped it down with an Armstrong machine, tied it up in bundles, and as soon as any of it would do, I thrashed it out with a hickory to get a small grist to go to the mill, for I began to fill as I wanted to get some wheat bread. As soon as the balance would do, I stacked it up and tried to get a machine, but they were very scarce at that day, so I couldn't get one. But I put my boy on one horse, and he led the other, and we tramped it out. So they had to walk on top of the wheat to get all of the kernels off of the wheat. Okay. I sold about all of it the next fall that I had to spare for seed, as there were several parties coming and wanted to try it, as I had such good success the first time. All went on very smooth, with exception once in a while of a little spell of sickness with my family and myself until 1864. Then my wife was taken seriously sick and died on the 2nd of January, 1864, leaving me 7 children to mourn her loss, 4 girls and 3 boys. The oldest boy was 19 and the youngest 11 months, and the rest ranging between them. Right then, I had my hands full and my mind full of sorrow, and what made it worse for me, in the last 90-day call, my oldest boy must go into the service, and because this is Civil War now, so his wife is dead, his oldest son's having to go to war, and he is full of sorrow. And when he was mustered out of service, he was about used up with sickness, not able to do anything for a year, which kept my hands full inside of the house and out. So the boy goes off to war, comes back. He's so sick, he can't, because a lot of those soldiers didn't die from battle. They died from sickness. Yeah. It took a year for him to begin to feel better. In the meantime, this William Wilson was taking care of all of these children and his farm. As men were hard to hire, I had much to do at that time, but I weathered along with them for 2 years, though I often had an aching heart during that time. I want to cry for him. What a life. What a hard life. In July 1865, Mr. J. Slaney died, left a widow and 2 small girls to mourn his loss. And the widow had no one to look after her business outside of the house, and I had no one to look after my business inside of the house. We were both destitute of any connection in this country outside of our families, and we were both raised in England. In January the 18th of 1866, we both united to run our business together. I was quite busy thrashing that day, and the boys knew what was coming off in the evening, so they hung around work as long as they could see. By the time I got home, straightened up a little, got back to Judge Woodhull's at Edgewood, it was an hour past time and began to make them a little blue. Anyway, this is Pauline's words here at the end, because his diary just ends right there, or at least if there was more of it, we don't have it. We don't have it. That's the end of his words. Mr. Wilson and Mrs. Slaney did have a wedding ceremony and hopefully went on to live happily ever after. We don't really know if there is more of his diary somewhere. I would love to get my hands on it. That is all that Pauline put in that I know of, that I have any copies of in her paper and what she did. So this is from Pauline Colburn, and it was the story of William Wilson. Now, William Wilson was the great-grandfather of Don Dury. And Don Dury just passed away in 2023. He had owned Montgomery Ward. He's Cindy Lieb's dad. He was Dallas Dury's dad. Don Dury from Louisville, it would be his dad. I went to high school with Susie Dury, who was be Don's daughter. Okay, so this is the family. I have a picture of Don. I think I sent in. Ty, did you get that picture? Let's show that. This is this is Don Dury. So this William Wilson I speak of is his great grandfather. So this family of William Wilsons came to Clay County and settled, and their family's been here ever since. So it's thanks, Ty. So it's interesting how
legacy is left.
Yes, and you don't. All of us sitting here today, sitting in Clay County, do we think even on a daily basis, like, how did my family end up here? Like,
No.
Like what were the lives like? I mean, we all think, oh yeah, my great grandparents probably their life was really different than mine. But do you really stop to think about it? Because like this William Wilson, he went through so much to get his family here, to give them a life. And I just think people have forgotten how hard people worked back then to get what they had, to even have what they did have, which was very little. And they were happy with what they had
With
here.
what they had,
They were very happy, and they had nothing.
And they had nothing.
Yeah.
Just the travel, the journey here was turbulent. And no, we don't ever even. It's funny, because you talk about like family legacy, and we have covered, like, my mother was a Franklin from Clay City, and so we went back to when, like, we did would have been her great grandfather that came over and touched on that a little bit. And I do, the Hemphills came over. They're from St. Louis. They were brick masons. That's why I was interested in this story. I didn't realize that Cindy had family that was masons either. But and so I know they got called over here to build the post office. So I know how they got here, but like, so the Hemphill generation in Clay County didn't start till like the 20s, and that type of thing. But it is funny because this is 1800. This is like real roots.
Yeah. So there is a rock quarry over by Iola.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know that I don't believe it operates anymore. I think it's just basically like there's a big reservoir or whatever there, but I don't know that they still quarry it. But it makes me wonder. Who started it? Was it William Wilson?
Yeah.
Because this wouldn't have been the first quarry he started. He started other quarries.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't find any information on that Iola quarry, but I would like to dig into that more. Like, just wondering, did William Wilson start that?
Chances are. We're going to take a commercial break and come back with some more fun stuff. We'll be right back.
Do you bowl like this? That's great. Do you bowl like this? That's great too. That's because whether you're a pro or you just want to have a lot of fun, at Pegel's Silver Dollar Lanes, we have a lane for you. We have galaxy bowling, gaming for kids and adults, Joe's Pizza, a full bar, darts, pool, and fresh and clean bowling shoes. Boy, does that smell nice. So come on down to Pegel Silver Dollar Lanes in Effingham, where we have a lane for you.
My name is Robin Stanford. I own Stanford Marketing. It's a promotional products business along with an embroidery business. And we do custom hats, t-shirts, anything, you name it, we can make it. People like that we do stuff in-house and we can actually make things here and that we're not contracting the work out to other places. We never say no. We always try to find a way to do it. If anybody can do it, we can do it. We are hardworking women, that is for sure. Come to Stanford Marketing in Flora for all your custom and promotional needs.
Give me all your lumber. Doors, paint, windows, electrical, plumbing, and much more. Oh yeah, give me all your guns too.
John Lucas.
What?
You better be dreaming about all the stuff we sell here at Zink Building Center.
Oh, I would. Zink Building Center in Louisville on Route 45. It's a cool place.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm Beth Cooper.
Stacey Early Wine. Yeah.
Yeah, so...
we finished up a little early,
we
so
finished,
now we're digging through our...
So that was the story of William Wilson, and I wish everybody back then would have kept a diary like that.
Oh, me too.
Man, I could read diaries all the time. Like, I want to know what their lives were like.
The only problem with... I have a hard time reading the handwriting.
Yeah, some of it. The nice thing about this was Pauline Colburn had already typed it out. So
that was awesome.
But she left his misspelled words in there and his, his bad grammar, which I think adds.
You did say one thing, and I was like, "That's." When you read it, I'm thinking, I can't believe she actually read that.
That's his words, not mine. Not mine.
What do we call you, the grammar police?
Yeah, I can be.
You can be. You know you are. What are you talking about? I can't be.
So.
Yeah, we all know. Look what I found the other day in my little bag.
What is it?
It's a little bookmark, and it's from it says, "Thanks be to God for his indescribable gift." It's a First Christian Church of Flora, come as you are bookmark.
Huh.
Where did I find that at?
First Church of Flora.
I'm sorry, First Church of Flora, yeah. That's Jim's.
Huh. That's
yeah,
nice.
I don't know. They must have given it to me for something.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty new because otherwise it would have had their old name on it.
Yeah, because they're not that anymore. Okay, I have got to clean house when I get home. And by clean house, I mean go through my bag of tricks. Okay, so this is what happens when we finish a story and then we need to move on to some other things. I always bring back my favorite place in Clay County.
The favorite topic of Stacey, Sailor Springs.
So I'm going to read this. This is an article from Back Then in Sailor Springs by Linda Davidson. It says, back then in Sailor Springs, there was fun in the air. February 14th, Valentine's Day, was very special. The schoolrooms were turned into beautiful red and white Valentine love themes. Can you imagine back in Sailor Springs, Valentine's Day?
No.
Crisp, crepe, paper, pleats, lined blackboards. Construction paper hearts were taped on the windows and around the rooms. Pretty red and white hearts with pretty bright pink hearts mixed in. Crepe paper ribbons were strung above the children's desks, attached to the hanging glass light globes. Cupids and arrows were strung around the room. Breezes from the heat blowers twirled them around and around, a very lovely warm atmosphere. The children in each classroom would help make the very beautiful Valentine box. They put a lot of work into it. The box would be covered with red and white crepe paper and red and white and pink construction paper. It would have frothy crepe paper ruffles in a contrasting colors. Lacy hearts, cupids, and arrows finished the special touches on the Valentine boxes. Pretty white crepe paper and construction paper gave special finishing touches.
I think it's crepe paper.
Is it crepe?
I think so.
Why is it spelled? Well, you're right. It is crepe paper, and I know that.
I don't know why they spell it like that, but...
Well, that's English for you.
Yeah, I know. Typical English, like, no wonder people have trouble learning English.
No kidding. The Valentine boxes were placed in the front of the room on a table for the children in the classroom to see. The children were in awe of wonderful, pretty Valentine boxes and couldn't wait to put their special Valentines in it. Valentine's Day would bring with it very special memories. The children could hardly wait. And honestly, after we're saying this, Valentine's Day was like one of my favorite. Like when you had class
parties
and stuff. Valentine's Day, I love making my Valentine's box. It was my favorite.
Yeah, that's fun.
It was fun. Valentine's Day is so very special for all of us. It is the day to let our loved ones and friends know how much they mean to us. Valentines are a way to let others know we care about them. Back then, they cost a penny.
Oh my, a penny.
And another penny to send them on their way. Valentines were so pretty then. They were made into postcards with Valentine verses on them. There were penny Valentines and fancy Valentines with pretty designs and colors, and envelopes to match them with the Victorian sticker to seal them. Valentines to create memories in our hearts which would stay forever. Valentine's Day at school was so exciting and special for all of us. The week before, all the children would bring their Valentines to school and drop them in the pretty Valentine box. All eyes were on the person dropping them in the box. The children made a Valentine for everyone in their classroom and one for their teacher. On the special day, the room mothers would bring punch, cupcakes, and cookies decorated in fancy red, pink, and white icing. Pretty red hots and pastel hearts completed the decorations. As the Valentines were passed out, everyone was excited and happy. Secret Valentines and messages were quite a surprise. Wow, that verse really said something. You didn't know he felt that way about you. That special Valentine was really very, very special indeed. Comments and thoughts not kept inside hearts anymore, let out for the day. Hint of changing things, a wink across the room, maybe hand-holding.
Ooh.
Isn't that the greatest little story ever?
Maybe hand-holding.
Maybe, yeah. I love
Everybody's in love on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Yeah, what did she say here? You didn't feel that way about the special. Wait, where was that one little? Something just struck out here. What she said. I love the way Linda Davidson writes.
Mm-hmm.
When Linda writes, I visualize everything she said, you know. And then I remember as a little girl doing the Valentine boxes. So much fun. Yeah, so much fun.
Yeah, my kids always, we always had fun with Valentine's boxes with them too.
Mm-hmm. That was my favorite thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they really do.
Well, at the grade school in
Excuse me.
Flora now, it's different. There's still some teachers that will let you make a box, but there's this, you know,
I
some
wanna make
kids,
boxes.
Some kids don't have the help at home to make a box, and
True.
then it turns into a, you know, a little bit of a issue with people feeling bad that their box isn't as nice as someone else's box.
Right.
So a lot of the teachers now do this thing, and I think it's fun too. It's like everybody gets a bag. The teacher passes out like a brown paper bag, or I think sometimes they're white, and then you get to decorate them.
Yeah.
And then you pass those around or something. I don't remember exactly how that all worked, but it was easier on the parents for sure, and probably more fair for all of the children in the room. So
Yeah. Well, this is interesting. So I'm flipping through this paper from February 21st, 2001. And on the back here, this is my family. This is Malbert Franklin wrote a letter to the editor.
Oh.
Malbert Franklin lived to be over 100 years old, and he lived in Baldy and Josephine, my grandparents' house, in Sailor Springs his entire life.
And he's the one that had the spring right in his yard.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Huh. I'll have to, well, I'm just going to read this. Letter to the editor. 311th General, what's that word?
Look, I can't see the end of it.
Look, see what do you think that says?
Bivou? It looks like a French word. Bivouac.
Yeah, I'm going to read this letter. Interesting. I have no idea what I'm getting ready to read. But the 311th General Beauveau, Camp Ellis, Illinois, in January 1945. Says, letters to the editor. Dear editor, I thought people might be interested in this story and picture. It shows that I lived in one of these tents in this picture for 2 weeks during the kind of weather that we have been having here now. First, let me tell you how this all happened. For something over 2 years in World War II with the 387th Port Battalion in the jungles of New Guinea, one day they put all of our names in a hat and said a few of us could go home on a 2-week vacation.
Oh, wow.
My name was one of the names drawn out. We had to wait about 2 weeks for a replacement before we could leave for home. When my furlough was over, I was to report to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I stayed in a nice Vanderbilt hotel for 11 or 12 days.
Wow.
Then one day, the officer in charge called all of us out of the hotel and read names of where each was to go. I was to go to Camp Ellis, Illinois, to join the 311 General Hospital. The fall weather has been nice, but winter and Christmas were near. A couple of days before Christmas, the officer in charge called us together and told us that we could go home for Christmas, but to be sure and be back the day after Christmas. As the next day, we would go out on a 2-week bivouac, that word. We'll have to look that up. The next morning after Christmas wasn't too bad of a morning, but later that day it got a lot darker. I thought we might get some snow. On the way back, sure enough, the snow you see on the ground in the picture fell the very first night and stayed for a whole 2 weeks. We slept inside of the tents in sleeping bags on the ground. On the morning, we went back to the barracks. It was 10 degrees below zero.
Oh, my.
The nurses weren't with us at Bevo. I don't believe they would have enjoyed it. 3 months later, the nurses joined us in San Francisco, California, on our way to Manila in the Philippines. We loaded on a boat on the last day of March and got off the boat on the first day of May. Boat riding is not for me. When a boat rocks a little bit, I get seasick. Thank you, Malbert Franklin.
Wow.
That's my great uncle who wrote that article.
Let's see if Abby can zoom in on that photo, because that's a fantastic photo.
Look at this. See if you can zoom in on this. Yeah.
And then maybe we can Google this word.
Yeah.
It's B-I-V.
I don't know if it's going to zoom or not very well.
Yeah.
It's a little blurry.
It's a little blurry.
Newspapers. Yeah, it may not.
I may be able to take a picture and snap a picture and send it to him real quick.
Yeah,
let's try that.
We got a little bit of time left. Yeah, there's Malbert right there, circled. Yeah, how fun is that?
Okay, I don't know if I can get the whole thing in there. Well, maybe this one. Okay.
Yeah. Stevie, what did you look up that word? See what that word means? What was the word? BIVOUAC. General Hospital, Bevo Camp Ellis. Well, that was fun to look on there and see old Malbert. He was the sweetest little man. It was my grandpa's brother.
It's a temporary camp.
It's a temporary camp.
I'm going to write that down so we'll know. Temporary camp. Huh.
Okay, I just sent that to you, Ty. Let's see if we can get that on the screen. That's
fun.
A pretty cute picture. I mean, I like old group pictures like that, and especially in the snow, you think, my gosh.
Oh yeah.
How
well, here's the
uncomfortable.
Florida High School honor roll. I was not on that.
Oh, okay.
Just so.
Well, I don't think either of us were in school in 2001.
I thought 2001, but even if it would have been 1985, I wouldn't have been on it. Yeah, how fun. Well, that was just a little treat. Yeah, look at that.
I know that's not the best picture because I was trying to fit it all in there.
You can see that top right. See the circle over there? That it says Malbert Franklin on top of it. That was my great uncle. How fun.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And those were the tents in the background. Wow.
Yeah, pretty neat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I got a mess here.
Let's move on to I'm stupid. Here's your sign, I'm stupid. Show them the front of that book, because I don't know if they know. Like,
there's your sign.
And there's actually a little plastic sign on there that says I'm stupid.
Let's move on to I'm stupid. That's funny. Oh, goodness sakes. Okay. My wife took off her swimsuit after we had spent a day at the beach and said, "Wow, you sure got sunburned," she answered. "Wrong. I didn't get sunburned. I just got my butt bleached."
Oh. Oh, that's funny.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And with that, we got to go.
Okay. All right. They always make me laugh. Anyway, you can always find us on Wabash Television, Catch TV Channel 100, Monday through Friday. We air at 11 a.m. and then again at 3 p.m. Our new episodes air on Thursdays and Fridays. You can catch any of our old episodes on our YouTube channel. By the way, with Beth and Stacey, just type in Beth and Stacey, click on our picture. There's our channel, and all of our shows are there. So you can also like and follow us on Facebook. But that is pretty much it for today. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you next time.
God bless you and have a great day.